everyone, so we've made our mandala template and now it's time to transfer our design. I want to show you two examples, one good, one not so good, for transferring a design onto your mandala that we're going to be either coloring or painting in. So this is an example of a good design. Notice how the shapes are really big and open because I know I'm going to have to be coloring this in. I know that these shapes are big enough that I'll be able to either use a colored pencil in there or my paint and be able to color it in completely. Also notice how when I take this design and I transfer it, I'm going to be transferring it over and over every time. I picked a design that's the same on this side and this side so that it's going to be symmetrical as I transfer it. So this half of a rectangle is going to be completed by this half as I transfer it all the way around. Here's an example of a bad design. Don't do something like this. So why is this a bad design? First, notice how there's just lines. You can't color or paint in a line, right? It needs to be a shape. So things like this are not going to work. These shapes are much too tiny also. These aren't going to work very well for coloring in. They're much too close together for actually coloring or painting. And then think about when you color or when you transfer this design, over here I'm going to have one half of a blob. When I transfer this, the other half of that blob is going to be this sort of geometric shape, right? It won't be mirrored, it's going to be rotated around. So this design is not symmetrical, it's not going to work very well for this project. So try to do something simple and keep your shapes nice and big. So how do we get this onto here? The secret is your 4B pencil. So you're going to sharpen your 4B pencil. You're going to turn your design over once you're happy with it, and you're going to color in the whole background with graphite. This process can definitely get a little bit smudgy while you're doing it, but that's what erasers are for. So if we make a smudge, no big deal, we'll just erase it. You don't have to make it completely black, but you do want to cover the whole, oops, see, I get smudge. That's all right, I'll erase it later. But you do want to cover the whole paper. So it looks something like that. Then I'm going to take my design, I'm going to try to hold it on the edges because I don't want to get that graphite onto my fingers. I'm going to put it right here. If you have a little bit of tape available, you can tape it down if you're worried about it moving, or if you have a steady hand, just hold it down on the edge like this. I'm going to use my HB pencil to do this. You could also use a pen. You can really use any material to trace your design. So you're going to go over your line. I'm pressing down relatively hard right now. While I'm doing this, what's happening is the graphite that's on the back of this paper is being transferred onto my template because of the pressure that I'm using when I push down. This is also why having a simple design makes your life easier, so you don't have to transfer a ton of lines while you're doing this. And when you lift it up, da, 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 it's like magic. Now I'm going to transfer it again. Notice how as I do this, because I made my design symmetrical, I have my design is mirrored on both sides. Now this might not line up exactly with the other side. If that happens to you, it's fine. You can always erase it and go back and change it later and do some refining. So you're going to line this up between your tick marks and do the same thing again. Go over your lines. Lift it up. There it is. I'm going to keep doing this all the way around. If at any point I feel like my design is getting too light, I can always turn this over, color it in again, add some extra graphite, and do it again. we have it, our completed transferred design. So once you have this transferred, you're going to want to spend a little bit of time just going over and refining your shapes. For example, I can see right here they didn't line up quite right. So I'm going to use my pencil and I'm going to refine my shape a little bit. Doing this step can seem a little bit tedious, but it's going to be really important for you when you're actually shading and coloring in to know exactly where your lines are, because the lines we just transferred are very faint, and it does make your life a lot easier if you can really see a nice clear edge when you're coloring or painting. And remember, you can always go back and erase any designs that didn't quite transfer all the way. This is also a time where if you want to freehand any drawing into your mandala, any extra shapes, you could do that. Please just keep in mind that you are going to have to color or paint this in, and so we don't want to go back to doing anything that's lines or too detailed, because that's not going to work very well for us. So I'm going to spend a minute and go over all my lines. And there we have it, our completed mandala design. We are at the point now where we are ready to start painting or coloring. Remember, you're going to choose a color harmony that is appealing to you, and that's going to be the foundation of your color choices for this project.